I'm Dr. Stephen Davidson, the Sexual Integrity Coach. Welcome to another episode of Adult Sex Education. It's obvious that men and women are anatomically different sexual creatures. They are also sexually different in many other ways, and this can lead to disagreements in their opposite-sex relationships. They make incorrect assumptions and have unreasonable expectations, leading to sexual frustration and relational conflict. Human sexuality is complex and influenced by multiple factors. Each of us are uniquely different from the other. Even though there are some things we can say are generally true of men or generally true of women, there will still be exceptions. Our biology, influenced by our genetics, our psychology is influenced by both genetics and life experiences, our culture, influenced by where in the world we live and when in history we are alive, and the unique relational experiences we have in life based on who we know, will all intermingle to create us as individually unique sexual creatures. You will share some things in common with those who are genetically, psychologically, and culturally similar to you, but there will still be subtle differences that make you unique. Many of our sexual thoughts and behaviors are subconsciously motivated. Since most of us are taught to filter our sexuality through religion or other cultural traditions, we forget that we are instinctively sexual creatures. Sex is as natural for humans as breathing, but through religion and politics, we have twisted our sexuality in some unnatural ways that limit normal variations in sexual expression and lead to a lot of unrealistic expectations of ourselves and our partners. Today I'm going to talk about some of the general differences between men and women and how these differences lead to conflict in their opposite-sex relationships. Please remember that these are general representations of sexual differences between men and women around the world. It's okay if you don't personally identify with every one of them. Number one, when it comes to sex, women are the safety officers and gatekeepers. Some of this is cultural, but evolutionary theory tells us that this is also necessary for survival. Intercourse is more consequential for women than it is for men. She runs the risk of unwanted pregnancy, complicated childbirth, which could cause death, or being overpowered and subjected to activity she didn't consent to. Culturally, she will be judged for her pregnancy if she isn't married, and this will influence her social, legal, and financial status in life. Therefore, women generally are more discriminating than men when it comes to selecting a sexual partner and engaging in sexual activity. On average, women take 3 times longer than men to decide to have sex with a new partner. Number 2, biologically, she will produce 1 egg per month from puberty until menopause. She is instinctively looking for one man to fertilize the egg, and she will carry that embryo for 9 months until birth. She will be largely responsible for its survival in the first few years of its life. Her male partner, however, will produce about 2 million sperm per day, and he will continue to produce sperm throughout his life until death. In the 9 months that she carries one child, he can father hundreds of children with different women. Sex is less consequential for him because he can easily walk away. Culturally, his sexual conquest will be celebrated as evidence of his masculinity, and if he doesn't stand by her and his children, he will have fewer consequences socially and financially. Number 3, men take more sexual risk than women. The male brain under the influence of testosterone is an impulsive risk-taker. Instinctively, he isn't looking for one good partner to fertilize an egg. He's looking for any partner who will take his sperm. Unlike women who can carry their own offspring to term, he needs a woman to do it for him. The more opportunities he has, the better his chances of promoting his DNA into the next generation. Remember, this is a basic primal drive, uninfluenced by the social norms developed by the prevailing culture. He's less discriminating and less attentive to caution and the potential for consequences. Number 4, men have more sexual partners than women across their lifetime. The biological differences in sexual motivation make it challenging for both men and women to stay monogamous with one partner. But women are generally better at monogamy than men. And when women are not monogamous, they're better at hiding it and covering their tracks. Men are messy cheaters. Since they're more inclined to take risk and throw caution to the wind, they often leave clues and get caught. Men brag about their sexual behavior more than women, and this also gets them in trouble. Women are more intuitive than men and observant of the small details that men often miss. They make great private investigators and are able to discern subtle behaviors or deviations that allow them to piece together truth he thinks he has hidden. Monogamy is a concept mandated by religious tradition and its influences on government policies about child and family welfare. But humans are not innately monogamous creatures. Most adults have had more than one sexual partner in their life, or at least can identify sexual attraction to multiple people, even if they never act on it. Our innate sexual drives don't shut down when we marry or partner with another person. Even after the wedding, he and she will both notice other people they find erotically desirable. But she will be naturally better at maintaining sexual fidelity than he will because she has better impulse control. She's more discriminating about who she has sex with, and she's more vigilant about avoiding consequences. Number 5. Men think about sex more than women, and under the influence of testosterone, men have a strong drive to ejaculate frequently. Men don't easily resist their sexual urges because they are instinctively driven. This normal urge is about keeping him active at procreation and expelling old sperm that are no longer healthy. Daily ejaculation will keep him pumping out healthy sperm and increase his chances of fertilization. Some research has also demonstrated that men who ejaculate often have lower rates of prostate cancer than men who ejaculate infrequently. We also know that there are positive mental health benefits to frequent orgasms for both men and women. Women don't have the same drive for sexual release as men because they produce less testosterone, and their bodies work differently when it comes to procreation. While he has to have an orgasm to release sperm for the purpose of fertilization, orgasms are not necessary for her to get pregnant. She will like them and enjoy them, but with less frequency. This is one of the areas of conflict for opposite-sex couples. They unrealistically expect their libidos to align. He often accuses her of being frigid, and she accuses him of being hypersexual. There is no other biological drive where couples have an expectation that they have to have the same innate needs at precisely the same time. She's allowed to pee when he doesn't need to go to the bathroom. It's okay for him to have a snack when she isn't hungry. She can drink water even if he isn't thirsty. They don't usually argue if she naps when he isn't tired. But if he's horny when she isn't, sometimes conflict ensues. Number 6. Men are more likely than women to have kinks or fetishes. This may be due to the intense urges men have for sexual release and their inclination to sexualize objects and situations more than women. Their kinks and fetishes often develop in childhood and become an integral part of their sexuality. We don't always know the genesis of kinks or fetishes, but they can develop pretty easily and are not necessarily a product of sexual abuse. Some men know exactly why they have their kinks and fetishes, and the scenarios they sexualized in childhood or adolescence are often fairly innocent and benign. In fact, most kinks and fetishes don't directly include any genital stimulation. Number 7. Men are innately sexual predators. They're more likely than women to commit sex crimes and to be accused of sexual harassment. This fact is one reason women are so cautious when it comes to sex. Women have to be assertive with boundaries and setting limits. Men can learn to be respectful of women and manage their sexual aggression, but this is contrary to how men are innately wired, and much of their inappropriate behavior gets excused or overlooked. Number 8. Men are more likely than women to be labeled as sexual addicts. Though sex addiction has never been recognized as a legitimate diagnosis by the American Psychiatric Association, the World Health Association, or the American Association of Sex Educators, Counselors, and Therapists, this pseudo-diagnosis has been embraced by many cultures around the world as the explanation for so much of male sexuality. In the general population, fewer single men than married men identify as sexual addicts. It is often in contrast to a female partner that his sexual behavior is labeled pathological. Number 9. Women tend to bond through sexual activity more than men. Men bond through sex also, but since women are more discriminating than men, her decision to have sex with him likely means more. Men, more often than women, can have sexual encounters and walk away with no emotional attachment to the other person. Number 10. Men are more erotically aroused by visual imagery than women. He is unconsciously scanning the environment for visual representations of sex, and he can see sexual imagery everywhere. When he doesn't see it, he can imagine it, or he seeks it out through his fascination with pornography. Women are more erotically aroused by language and indications of power. She will prefer a romance novel or love story over pornography. She's less concerned with his physical appearance and more concerned with his ability to be a faithful provider and protector. It's important to remember that these are general differences and there will always be exceptions. Sexuality, male and female, is instinctively motivated, and much of who we are is biologically influenced. Since most therapists receive no formal education in sexology, they often negate the biological differences between men and women. Their attempts at helping couples navigate these differences is often futile, because they too make inaccurate assumptions and have expectations that are unreasonable. Finding a therapist who is specifically trained in sexology will increase your chances of having a better outcome with sex therapy. If you're interested in learning more about the biological differences between men and women that influence our sexual behavior, I want to recommend 2 books that are both by the same author. One book is titled The Male Brain. The other book is titled The Female Brain. They are both by neuropsychiatrist Dr. Luann Brizendine. I'm Dr. Stephen Davidson, the Sexual Integrity Coach. I hope you will like this video and subscribe to this channel. Please check out my website at sexualintegritycoach.com. There you can learn more about the services I provide, as well as get links to both of my books, Peaceful Mind, Peaceful Life, the Guidebook to Happiness, as well as Sexual Integrity, Finding the Courage to Be Yourself.